Katie, and welcome back to my booktube channel. Welcome to Bookmas Day 12. Today is the Christmas song book tag, and this was originally done by Hailey In Bookland, so I will link her original video below. And she actually has like two versions of this tag. For a few years, I think she did this where it only had like 10-ish prompts, and then the last couple years she added 4 more. So I'm doing the newer version that has 14 prompts, but let's jump into it. The first prompt is, "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch, so name a villainous character you couldn't help but love." And that's kind of the whole reason I wore this shirt, is for that prompt. But anyway, I feel like a villainous character I couldn't help but love. There's a couple that come to mind, but I think I'm going to have to go with Hudson Vega from the Crave series. And if you've read it, you know why he's a villainous character that we end up loving. I feel like I can't say too much without spoiling things because you don't really get to know him until the second book, so I don't want to ruin anything. But he's one of my favorite characters from that series, if not my favorite so far. So I just really love him. He's really pitched as like the worst person imaginable, and you really get to know him throughout books 2 and 3, and you just can't help but love him. So I definitely have to go with him. But some of the other ones I thought of were Wrath from Kingdom of the Wicked, Jax from Once Upon a Broken Heart and the Caraval trilogy, and probably so many more. The second song is All I Want for Christmas Is You. So which book do you hope to see under your tree? And the first one that pops in my head is The Spanish Love Deception. I originally read that on my Kindle, fell in love with it, and I would love to see a physical copy under my tree. I feel like it'd be so fun to reread it and to be able to annotate it with fun little sticky notes. So I'm really hoping to find that one under the tree, but I'm not sure. I feel like it's really hard to find in a paperback form, at least where I am, so I'm just gonna have to keep my fingers crossed. Number 3 is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Name a character who overcomes major obstacles and learns to believe in themselves. This one was really tricky because it's a much deeper prompt than what I'm used to, but I just finished reading Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey, so I'm going to have to go with Stella, and I have to choose her because she is an ex-convict, and she just got out after 4 years, and so she's trying to figure out who she is as a person, and she's trying to figure out how to be in society again, how to have relationships with people, whether that's, friendships, romantic relationships, familial relationships. She's trying to figure out how to get a job again, how to have her own apartment. Like, she has so many major obstacles she's trying to overcome, and I love watching her try to overcome these obstacles and to really learn to believe in herself and, believe in who she is as a person now. Number 4 is Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Which character do you think would be at the top of the naughty list, and which character do you think would be at the top of the nice list? So this is a 2-parter, and for some reason I had a hard time figuring out who would be at the top of the naughty list. I don't know why. I feel like there's so many villains. Like, literally in the first prompt I named a few, but because I love them so much, I want to believe that they would not be on the naughty list, but they probably would be. I'm going to have to go with the Darkling from the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I just feel like if you've read that series at all, you would see him at the top of the naughty list. He's just, I don't know, like, he has kind of a redemption arc, but also he doesn't. So I'm trying really hard to explain why he'd be on the naughty list without giving spoilers. But most of you have probably read it, so if you know, you know. But in terms of who would be at the top of the nice list, I think I'm going to have to choose Aaron Blackford from The Spanish Love Deception. He is just so pure and sweet, and the things that he does for Lena, and I don't know, if you don't know, it's like a fake dating, workplace romance, Grumpy Sunshine. It has like so many tropes, and basically they go to her family's wedding, they're pretending to date, and just the things that he does to help convince everybody that they're dating and the things he does for her are just so precious, and he's just too good. I love him so much. Number 5 is Frosty the Snowman. Which book melts your heart? I definitely have to choose It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I read that, I think, at the beginning of November, and I fell in love with it. I've read Tessa Bailey books before, but that one just hit different. I don't know what it was about that book, but I fell in love with Piper and Brendan as characters. I was so emotionally invested in each of them, and I loved them together so much. I loved the setting that was created. I don't know, there's something about the writing and everything. Just that whole book just like melted my heart. I literally cuddled with that book when I was done reading it because I loved it so much and I was not ready for it to end. Number 6 is Feliz Navidad. Pick a book that takes place in a different country. This should have been a lot easier than it was. I did the same tag last year for Bookmas, and I feel like I had so many books to choose from. But I realized that I didn't really read a lot of books that took place in other countries, so hopefully in 2022 I can change that and expand a little bit, because literally the only one I could think of was Hunting Prince Dracula by Carrie Maniscalco. That one takes place in Romania, which was really cool. I really loved the setting, but it's weird that that was the only one I could think of. I really haven't read a lot of books from other countries. Number 7 is It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year. Which book do you use to spread Christmas joy? And the only book I can think of is 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I feel like ever since I was little, this was a book that I absolutely fell in love with. And even now, every year on Christmas Eve, my family takes turns reading this book. And it's just such a sweet tradition. I don't know, it just really gets me into the Christmas spirit. Even this year I have a little chocolate advent calendar, and each day you open has like a little phrase from that story. So I just love it so much. It just feels so Christmassy to me. Number 8 is Sleigh Ride. Which fictional character would you spend the holidays with? I really have to go with Evangeline from Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. You guys know I'm a sucker for a Stephanie Garber book, but there's something about Evangeline that I really connected to. I loved her so much in that book. Her pink hair is gorgeous. She's so curious and whimsical, and I feel like it'd be so fun to hang out with her. I could see us baking cookies and watching Christmas movies, going on little Christmas adventures. I just feel like we would have such a great time, and I would love to be friends with Evangeline. Number 9 is Baby It's Cold Outside. Which book that you didn't like would you sacrifice to a fire to warm yourself in the cold? 1000% without a doubt, Spells Trouble by PC and Kristen Cast. This is my least favorite book of all time, and probably my most disappointing read of the year. I think I already did a video on that for you guys, so I will link that. But it just hurt my soul. I literally can't look at that book without getting angry. I'm not even going to rant about it. I rant a lot in my disappointing reads video, but it just makes me really angry, and I would throw it in a fire without a second thought. Number 10 is Do You Hear What I Hear? Which book do you think everyone should read? I had a really hard time with this prompt, honestly, because pretty much all of my favorite books I feel like would not be good for everyone. It was really hard for me to pick one that I thought everyone would enjoy. I feel like it really depends on what genres you like and the tropes that you love. And I don't know, it was really hard to decide, but I ended up choosing The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I feel like that is the most universally loved book that I've read this year, so I would definitely have to go with that. I haven't really heard of people who didn't like that book. I feel like people even go into it thinking they're gonna hate it and they still come out loving it, so I would probably say that one. If you haven't read it, give it a chance. It's one of my favorite romances of the year and probably of all time. Number 11 is Where Are You Christmas? Which book do you want immediately that isn't out yet? There's so many anticipated releases of 2022. I had a really hard time narrowing this down too. I'm actually going to be doing a video for all of my anticipated releases of the next year. But the one that popped in my head first is the sequel to Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I loved that book. It feels like a fairy tale. I loved all of the characters, the world building, the writing. I just wasn't ready for it to end the way that it did, and I need more. I would literally do anything to get my hands on that sequel, and we don't even have a title yet, but I am so ready to read that book. I'm so sad we have to wait until probably like September or October again. I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. Number 12 is Last Christmas, a book you started out loving but didn't end up liking. This is probably going to be controversial, but I have to go with The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I went into this book with high expectations, and I really enjoyed the first part of it when they were still enemies. There was great banter. I loved seeing them together, and I had a really great time, but the progression from enemies to lovers was way too fast for me, and once they phased into the lovers stage, I just was not interested, and there was so much secondhand embarrassment in this book. I couldn't take it. I ended up finishing it, but it's probably my least favorite Christina Lauren book. Number 13 is Blue Christmas. Pick a book that made you cry. It honestly takes a lot for a book to make me cry. I've only cried once or twice, and I've read over 200 books, so it really does take a lot, but a book that really got to me and affected me a lot emotionally was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I did a full review of this book, and even though I read it months and months ago, it still affects me so much every time I see it on my shelf or I think about it. This book was an emotional roller coaster. It was my first Colleen Hoover book, so I was not prepared, but it wrecked my heart and my soul, and it was totally worth it. Number 14 is A Marshmallow World. Pick a fluffy book. The fluffiest book I can think of that I read this year was 10 Blind Dates by Ashley Elston, and this honestly could be read as a holiday book too. I had such a great time. It's so fluffy. It's about this girl who just ended her relationship. I can't remember which one of them ended it, but she goes home for the holidays and her family hears what happened, and so they each set her up on a blind date. And these dates are so funny. They're awkward, hilarious. Some of them are really sweet and cute, but you just go on this really fun roller coaster of dates. And I just couldn't stop smiling or laughing. I feel like this would be the perfect rom-com. If this doesn't get turned into a movie, I'm gonna be really sad. I feel like this would be such a cute holiday romance. That is the end of the Christmas song book tag. I had a lot of fun doing this. If you guys enjoyed this, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe, please click the notification bell so you know when I upload next. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in my next video.